It was a cold morning in London. Rain fell from the grey sky. Most people ran to find dry places, but the royal guard stood still outside Buckingham Palace. They could not move. They could not talk. They could not even blink too much. This was their job. One guard named James Porter stood very straight. He was 24 years old. Water ran down his red coat and big black fur hat. His face showed nothing. No smile. No frown. Just blank. James had trained for months to stand like this. The rain soaked him, but he did not move. Tourists walked by. They took quick pictures and hurried away from the rain. Some pointed. Some laughed. Some tried to make the guard smile or move. James saw them all but looked at none. His eyes stared straight ahead. Among the tourists was Maria Gomes. She was 58 years old and came from Spain. This trip was special for her. Her husband died 3 years ago. They had always planned to visit London together. Now she was here alone, finally using the money they had saved. Maria stood watching James for a long time. She held her small blue umbrella and looked at him with kind eyes. She did not run from the rain like the others. She just watched. That poor boy is getting so wet, she thought. The guard reminded her of her own son back in Spain. Her son was about the same age. She wondered if this young man had a mother who worried about him. Did he have a warm home to go to after his shift ended? The rain fell harder. Maria saw water dripping from the guard's nose. His red coat grew darker with water. Still, he did not move. Other tourists pushed past Maria to take photos. A group of young men tried to make funny faces at James. A little girl waved at him. James saw them all but kept his face still and his eyes forward. Something about his dedication touched Maria's heart. She remembered how her husband had been a police officer. He too had stood in rain and cold, doing his duty. The memory made her feel close to this stranger in the red coat. Without thinking much about rules, Maria stepped forward. She knew tourists were not supposed to touch the royal guards. Everyone knew this. The guards were famous for never breaking character. But Maria did not see a guard at that moment. She saw a young man standing in the rain, doing his job. Maria walked up to James. She was much shorter than him. The top of her head only reached his chest. She stretched up and held her umbrella over him. The rain now fell on her instead. Then Maria did something that would soon be seen around the world. She gave James a quick, motherly hug. It was gentle and fast. She stepped back with a warm smile on her face. James did not react. His face stayed blank. His eyes still looked forward. But for a single second, something in his eyes changed. Only Maria noticed. What Maria did not notice was Tom Wilson, an American tourist standing nearby. Tom had his phone out. He was recording the whole thing. That night, he would post the video online with the words, "Spanish mom adopts royal guard for a moment. Humanity has no borders." Maria walked away, not knowing what she had just started. She did not know that by tomorrow, millions of people would see what she had done. She did not know that her small act of kindness was about to change many lives, including her own. The rain kept falling. James kept standing still. But something had changed that would touch hearts around the world. Tom Wilson sat in his hotel room that night. The rain tapped on his window. He looked at the video on his phone. The short clip showed Maria hugging the guard. It was only 10 seconds long, but Tom felt it was special. "People need to see this," Tom said to himself. He typed a few words and posted the video online. Then he went to bed, thinking nothing more about it. When Tom woke up the next morning, his phone was making noise. Many noises. Buzz. 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 He had hundreds of messages. His video was being shared all over the world. 1 million views already, Tom said in shock. He could not believe it. He rubbed his eyes and looked again. The number kept growing. News shows wanted to talk to Tom. They wanted to know who the woman was. They wanted to know who the guard was. Tom told them he did not know. He was just a tourist like the woman. The video spread faster that day. 2 million views. Then 3 million. Then 5 million. People loved the simple act of kindness. They shared it with friends and family. They wrote nice comments about it. This made me cry. We need more kindness in the world. Who is this wonderful woman? The video got a name. #Garduk. People used this name when sharing the video. Soon it was one of the most talked about things online. Maria knew nothing about this. She had left London that same day. She was now in Paris, the next stop on her Europe trip. She did not use the internet much. Her phone was old and simple. She used it only for calls. Her tour group rode on a bus through Paris. Maria looked out the window at the Eiffel Tower. Her mind was still on London and the young guard in the rain. She hoped he had gotten dry and warm after his shift. Meanwhile, back in London, James finished his guard duty late that afternoon. He marched back inside with the other guards. His feet were wet. His hands were cold, but his face showed nothing. In the changing room, the other guards started to act strange. They looked at James and whispered. Some smiled at him. One guard showed him a phone. "You're famous, Porter," the guard said. James looked at the phone. He saw himself. He saw the small woman with the umbrella. He saw the hug. His face turned red. "Who took this?" James asked. "Some tourist. It's everywhere now. Millions of people have seen it." James did not know what to say. Guards were not supposed to get attention. They were supposed to be in the background. James worried he might get in trouble. His commander called him to the office. James walked there slowly, his wet boots making squishing sounds. He stood at attention in front of the commander's desk. "At ease, Porter," the commander said. "Have you seen the video?" "Yes, sir," James said. "The palace has been getting calls about it all day. The press wants to know who you are." James looked down. "I'm sorry, sir. I didn't react to her. I maintained my position." The commander nodded. "You did your duty well. But now we have a situation. This video is making people feel good. It's making the royal guards look human. The palace thinks this might be a good thing." James looked confused. "Sir, they want us to find the woman. Do you remember anything about her?" James thought about Maria's kind eyes. He remembered the smell of her perfume. It reminded him of his mother's. He remembered how she had smiled at him. "She seemed like someone's mother," James said. "She was trying to take care of me." In Paris, Maria's phone rang. It was her daughter calling from Spain. "Mama," her daughter said, "why didn't you tell me you're famous? You're all over the internet." Maria had no idea what her daughter was talking about. She did not know that her small act of kindness was about to change her life forever. Maria sat on her hotel bed in Paris. Her hand shook as she held her daughter's tablet. Her daughter had sent it to her by fast mail, so she could see the video. Maria watched herself hugging the guard over and over. The view count now said 15 million. "I don't understand," Maria said to her tour guide, who stood nearby. "Why do people care about this so much?" The tour guide smiled. "People are hungry for kindness. Your hug was real. It was not for show. You did not know anyone was watching." Maria's phone rang again. This time, it was a TV news show from London. They wanted to talk to her. They offered to fly her back to London. "But my tour," Maria said. "I have plans." "We will pay for you to finish your tour later," the TV person said. "This is a big story. People want to meet you." Maria was not sure what to do. She was just a school teacher from a small town in Spain. She was not used to attention. But part of her wanted to know what happened to the young guard. Was he okay? Did he get in trouble? "Oak," Maria said. "I will come back to London." Back in London, James sat in his small flat. He was not allowed to talk to the news. Those were the rules. Guards did not do TV shows or give stories to newspapers, but his mother did. "My James has always been a good boy," his mother told a reporter. He stands in the rain and never complains. That's how he is. The reporter asked if she had seen the video. Oh yes, his mother said. I cried when I saw it. That kind woman treated my son like a human, not just a guard. I wish I could thank her. People online started looking for Maria. They found pictures from her school in Spain. They found old Facebook posts. Soon, they knew who she was. Spanish teacher Maria Gomes, the woman behind #Guardug, said one news story. Maria's students in Spain were excited. Their teacher was famous. They made a big sign to hang when she came home. Our teacher has the biggest heart. The palace was talking about the video too. The Queen's helpers had meetings about it. This was not normal. Guards were supposed to be in the background. But this video made people feel good about London and the palace. Perhaps we can use this, said one palace worker. People like to see the human side of palace life. They made a plan, a special plan that had never been done before. Maria flew back to London 3 days after the hug happened. A car picked her up at the airport. People took pictures of her as she walked through the airport. Some asked for her autograph. Maria felt strange. She was not a movie star or a singer. She was just a normal woman who had been kind. All this for a hug. She asked the driver. Not just any hug, the driver said. You touched people's hearts. The car took Maria to a nice hotel. The TV show would film the next day. But first, the palace called her room. Ms. Gomes, said the voice on the phone. The palace would like to invite you to tomorrow's changing of the guard ceremony. As a special guest. Maria could not believe it. Me? Why? Someone wants to thank you properly, the voice said. Maria did not know that James had asked his commanders for permission to break the rules. Just once. Just for a moment. He wanted to thank the kind woman who had shared her umbrella and given him a hug in the rain. The commanders had taken this request all the way to the top, and the answer had surprised everyone. The next day would bring a moment that no one had ever seen before in the long history of the Royal Guards, and millions more people would watch it happen. The next morning was sunny in London. The rain had stopped. The sky was clear blue. It was a perfect day for the changing of the guard ceremony. Hundreds of people stood outside Buckingham Palace, many more than usual. Word had spread that something special might happen. News cameras were there too. They pointed at the guards and at the crowd. Maria stood in a special area near the front. A palace worker had brought her there. She wore her best dress and a small hat. She felt out of place among the fancy people around her. Are you nervous? Asked the palace worker. Yes, Maria said. I don't understand why I am here. The worker smiled. You'll see soon. The ceremony began. The guards marched out in perfect lines. Their red coats were bright in the sun. Their black boots shined. The band played loud music. The crowd clapped and took pictures. Maria watched carefully. She wondered if she could spot the guard she had hugged. All the guards looked the same in their tall hats. Their faces showed no emotion. The old guards lined up to be replaced by the new guards. This was the changing of the guard. They stood very straight. They did not move except when they were supposed to. Then something strange happened. One guard stepped out of line. The crowd gasped. This never happened. Guards always stayed in formation. The guard walked toward the crowd, toward Maria. People whispered and pointed. Cameras followed him. The other guards did not move or look. They kept staring straight ahead. The guard who stepped out was James. He marched up to Maria and stopped right in front of her. He looked at her for the first time. Then he did something that had never been done before in the history of the Royal Guards. James gave Maria a perfect, formal salute. The crowd went silent. Everyone watched. Even the birds seemed to stop singing. James spoke in a clear, strong voice that everyone could hear. Thank you for your kindness, Ms. Gomes. It meant more than you know. Maria's eyes filled with tears. She had not expected this. She reached out and touched James's arm gently. You are welcome, young man, she said. I hope you didn't get wet feet that day. James almost smiled. Almost. But he kept his serious guard face. He gave her another salute, turned sharply, and marched back to his place in line. The ceremony continued as if nothing had happened. But everything had happened. Phones had recorded it all. Cameras had filmed it all. Within minutes, this new moment was spreading across the world. Royal Guard breaks protocol to thank kind tourist, said the news headlines. Never before has a guard broken formation during the ceremony, said one TV reporter. This shows how much Maria's act of kindness touched not just the guard, but the whole palace. After the ceremony, a palace worker gave Maria a small box. Inside was a pin with the royal seal. There was also a note that said, "Kindness transcends duty," with gratitude from Buckingham Palace. Maria held the pin carefully. She could not believe that her simple hug had caused all this. James changed out of his uniform later that day. His commander called him in again. "That was a one-time exception, Porter," the commander said. "Don't make a habit of it." "No, sir," James said. "Thank you for allowing it." The commander looked at his computer screen. The video of today has already reached 5 million views. The palace is pleased with the positive attention. James nodded. He wanted to ask if he could meet Maria properly, without his uniform, without the ceremony. He wanted to tell her how cold he had been that day, how her kindness had warmed him inside even though he couldn't show it. "Sir," James began, "would it be possible?" The commander looked up. "To meet her again. Already arranged. Tomorrow at 4. Don't be late." James smiled. A real smile this time. Maria sat in the hotel lobby at 3:45 the next day. She wore a simple blue dress. Her hands were folded in her lap. She felt nervous like a young girl. The TV interview that morning had been hard. So many questions about a simple hug. So many cameras. Maria was not used to this. "Why did you hug the guard?" the TV host had asked. He looked cold and wet. Maria had answered simply, "I would do the same for anyone. He reminded me of my son." People in the TV studio had clapped. Some had wiped tears from their eyes. Maria did not understand why. She had just been kind. Was kindness so rare? At exactly 4 o'clock, a young man walked into the hotel lobby. He wore regular clothes, jeans, and a blue shirt. His hair was short and neat. He looked around until he saw Maria. Then he walked over. "Ms. Gomes," he said. His voice was softer than it had been at the ceremony. Maria stood up. James. Without the tall hat and red coat, he looked different. Younger. More like a normal young man than a stiff royal guard. "It's nice to meet you properly," James said. He put out his hand to shake hers. Maria ignored his hand and gave him a hug instead. A real hug this time, not a quick one in the rain. James hugged her back. "There," Maria said. "Now we've been properly introduced." They sat down in the lobby. A hotel worker brought them tea. At first, they were both shy. Then they started to talk. "I was so cold that day," James said. "My feet were wet for hours. But we can't move." "I know," Maria said. "That's why I worried about you. No one should stand in the rain like that. When you held your umbrella over me, it was the nicest thing anyone had done for me in a long time." Maria smiled. "You couldn't even say thank you." "No. But I wanted to. That's why I asked for special permission yesterday. My commanders were surprised. Nothing like that has ever happened before. I hope you didn't get in trouble." James shook his head. "No. The palace likes the story. They say it shows the human side of the guards. People forget we're real people under the uniforms." They talked for a long time. Maria told James about her husband who had died, about her 2 children in Spain, about her job as a teacher. James told Maria about growing up in Newcastle, about his mother who worried about him, about his dream to go to university after his time as a guard was over. "What will you study?" Maria asked. "History," James said. I love learning about the past. A good choice, Maria said. She sounded like a teacher now. The past helps us understand the present. Outside the hotel, people walked by. Some looked in and saw Maria and James talking. A few took pictures through the window. The story of the guard and the tourist was still growing. James didn't notice the people outside. He was busy showing Maria pictures of his family on his phone. Maria was showing him pictures of her students. They made a sign for me, Maria said, showing him a photo of her classroom. They think I'm famous now. You are famous, James said. We both are. Maria shook her head. For a hug. It's silly. Not silly, James said. Important. You reminded people that kindness matters. As they talked, both Maria and James felt like they had known each other for years, not days. They didn't know that their story was about to get even bigger. Across town, a famous filmmaker watched the videos of Maria and James. He had an idea. A big idea that would change both their lives again. 2 weeks later, Maria was back home in Spain. She stood in front of her class. The children looked at her with big eyes. To them, she was now a star. Tell us again about the guard, one little girl said. Maria smiled. I've told that story 3 times today. Please, one more time, the children begged. Maria was about to start when the school principal came to the door. Maria, you have a phone call. From London. The children went, ooh. They loved that their teacher had friends in London now. Maria picked up the phone in the office. It was James. Hello, Maria, he said. How are you? Good, James. My students won't stop asking about you. James laughed. The other guards won't stop asking about you either. Is that why you called? To tell me that? No, James said. I called because there's something big happening. That filmmaker who saw our story. His name is Robert Wilson. He wants to make a short film about us. A film. Maria was shocked. About a hug in the rain. About kindness between strangers. About how small acts can touch many people. Maria sat down. This was getting too big. Too much. I don't know, James. I'm just a teacher, not an actor. You wouldn't act. They want to interview us. Tell the real story. Show how people from different countries and ages can connect. Maria thought about it. What do you think we should do? I think we should do it, James said. The story isn't just ours anymore. It belongs to all the people who were touched by it. After they hung up, Maria walked back to her classroom. The children were waiting. Was that the guard? They asked. Yes, Maria said. And now someone wants to make a film about us. The children cheered like this was the best news ever. Meanwhile in London, James met with the filmmaker, Robert Wilson. They sat in a small office with posters of other films on the walls. Your story has something special, Robert said. It shows the power of human connection in a world where we often feel alone. It was just a hug, James said. Robert smiled. No, it was more. You were doing your duty, standing still no matter what. Maria was just being kind with no thought of getting anything back. Together, you showed something beautiful. James nodded slowly. When do you want to start filming? Next month. We'll film in London and in Spain. We want to see both your worlds. Over the next few weeks, Maria and James talked on the phone often. They became good friends. James told Maria about guard duty. Maria told James about her students. They're making cards for you, she said one day. My students, they want to send them to you. That's sweet, James said. The other guards will never stop teasing me. Do you mind, the teasing? James thought about it. No, before all this, I was just another guard. Now I'm part of something that made people happy. When the film crew came to Spain, Maria's whole town was excited. They set up cameras in her classroom. They filmed her teaching. They filmed her at home, cooking dinner. They filmed her looking at old photos of her husband. Tell us about the moment you decided to hug James, the filmmaker asked. Maria thought back to that rainy day. There was no decision, she said simply. My heart moved before my head could think. The filmmaker smiled. That was exactly the kind of answer he had hoped for. The filming moved to London next. The film crew followed James on his day off. They filmed him walking in the park. They filmed him having tea with his mother. Were you proud when you saw the video of your son? The filmmaker asked James's mother. Very proud, she said, patting James's hand, but not surprised. My James has always had a good heart. He just hides it under that stiff guard face. James looked embarrassed. Mom, please. His mother laughed. See, he doesn't like praise. The film crew also filmed James in his guard uniform. They got special permission from the palace. They filmed him standing still while tourists took pictures. This time, no one hugged him. It's strange, James told the filmmaker. Before Maria's hug, I was just doing my job. No one saw me as a person. Now people look at me differently. They smile more. After a week of filming in London, something special happened. The palace called Robert Wilson, the filmmaker. The Queen has seen the news about your film, a palace worker told him. She would like to meet Maria and James. When Robert told James about this, James could not believe it. The Queen wants to meet us. Are you sure? Yes. Next week when Maria comes to London to finish filming. James called Maria right away to tell her the news. The Queen? Maria asked, her voice shaking. I can't meet the Queen. What would I wear? What would I say? Just be yourself, James said. That's what everyone likes about you. Maria flew to London the next week. She was nervous about meeting the Queen, but also happy to see James again. They had become good friends now. The palace was huge and beautiful. Maria and James walked through long halls with paintings and gold things everywhere. Maria held onto James's arm. She was afraid she might break something. Relax, James whispered. You've faced worse than this. You hugged a royal guard in the rain, remember? Maria laughed. That made her feel better. The Queen was not as scary as Maria had feared. She was a small woman with a kind smile. She sat with Maria and James and had tea with them. Your story has touched many people, the Queen said. It reminds us all that kindness knows no borders. It was just a small thing, Maria said. The Queen smiled. Small things often matter most. After tea, the Queen gave them each a small gift. It was a pin with the royal seal, like the one Maria had received before, but this one was gold. To remind you of your visit, the Queen said. As they left the palace, news cameras were waiting outside. The story of their meeting with the Queen spread quickly. Spanish teacher and royal guard have tea with Queen, said the news headlines. The filmmaker was very happy. This is perfect for our film, he told Maria and James. A perfect ending. But it was not the end of their story. Back at the hotel, Maria and James sat and talked about the amazing day. Did you ever think a simple hug would lead to meeting the Queen? James asked. Maria shook her head. Never. In my whole life, I never imagined such a thing. What happens after the film is done? James asked. Will we still talk? Of course, Maria said. We are friends now. Real friends. What they didn't know was that their friendship would grow in ways they couldn't imagine. The film was just the beginning of something much bigger. 6 months later, the film was ready. It was called The Hug That Crossed Borders. The filmmaker invited Maria and James to London for the first showing. Maria brought her 2 children with her this time. Her son Pablo was 26, close to James's age. Her daughter Elena was 23. They were excited to meet the guard their mother had hugged. He looks just like the pictures, Elena said when she saw James waiting for them at the airport. James gave Maria a big hug. Then he shook hands with her children. I've heard so much about you both, James said. And we've heard too much about you, Pablo joked. Our mother talks about you all the time." Maria turned red. "I do not." They all laughed. It felt like old friends meeting, not strangers. The next day was the first showing of the film. It was at a small theater in London. Many important people came. The filmmaker was there. Some people from the palace came. James's mother and sister came too. Even Tom Wilson, the tourist who took the first video, was there. Everyone sat down. The lights went dark. The film began. It started with the rainy day in London. It showed actors playing Maria and James in the rain. Then it showed the real Maria and James talking about what happened. It showed how the video spread around the world. It showed James breaking formation to thank Maria. It showed them becoming friends. The film was only 30 minutes long, but it told their whole story. When it ended, everyone in the theater stood up and clapped. Many people had tears in their eyes. "I didn't think our story was that special," Maria whispered to James. "But it is," James said. "Look how it's touched all these people." After the film, there was a party. People came up to Maria and James to talk to them. A woman with a little girl approached them. "My daughter saw your story, and now she gives out hugs at her school," the woman said. "She calls them guard hugs." The little girl looked up at Maria. "Can I have a guard hug?" Maria bent down and hugged the little girl. James bent down too and joined the hug. More people came with stories. A man told them he had started a kindness day at his office because of their story. A teacher said she showed the video to her class to teach about being kind to strangers. The filmmaker came over with a big smile. "The film has been accepted at 3 major film festivals," he said, "and a charity wants to use it for their kindness campaign." "A charity?" Maria asked. "Yes, they want you both to be part of it. They want to start a program called Guard Hugs to promote kindness across borders." James looked at Maria. "What do you think? Do we want to be part of something like that?" Maria thought about her classroom back in Spain. She thought about how she always told her students to be kind. Now she had a chance to spread that message to more people. "Yes," she said. "I think we should do it." The charity work would change both their lives again. It would take them to schools and community centers around the world. They would tell their story over and over. And everywhere they went, they would leave a trail of kindness behind them. But that night, they just enjoyed the party. They enjoyed being with their families and new friends. They enjoyed knowing that their simple moment in the rain had grown into something that was helping people be kinder to each other. "Not bad for a wet day in London," James said. Maria smiled. "Not bad at all." 1 year after the film came out, Maria and James stood in front of a large crowd in New York City. They were at the opening of the first Kindness Corner. This was a special place in a busy park where people could sit and talk to strangers. A sign said, "Take a seat, make a friend, share kindness." The Guard Hugs charity had built these corners in 10 cities around the world. Each one had the same sign and the same benches. Each one had a small statue of a guard and a tourist sharing an umbrella. "I never thought I would be in New York," Maria said to James as they cut the ribbon to open the corner. "I never thought I would leave the army to work for a kindness charity," James said with a laugh. After his time as a Royal Guard ended, James had been offered a job with the Guard Hugs charity. He now helped run their programs in schools and communities. Maria still taught in Spain, but during school breaks, she traveled with James to open new kindness corners and to talk to people about their story. Their story had grown far beyond a hug in the rain. Their film had won awards. Their charity had raised millions of dollars. Schools used their story to teach children about kindness. But what made Maria and James most happy was hearing stories from regular people who had been touched by what they did. After the opening in New York, a young woman came up to them. She had tears in her eyes. "Your story saved my life," she said quietly. Maria and James looked at her, waiting for her to continue. "I was going to kill myself," the woman said. "I felt so alone. Then I saw your video. If a stranger could be so kind to another stranger, maybe the world wasn't as bad as I thought. I decided to wait, to look for kindness, and I found it. Maria hugged the young woman tight. James joined the hug too. "You see," Maria said to the woman, "you are never alone." Later that day, Maria and James sat in a kindness corner they had just opened. People walked by. Some recognized them and waved. Some stopped to talk. "Did you ever imagine this?" James asked. "That day in the rain. Did you ever think one hug would lead to all this?" Maria shook her head. "Never. I just saw a young man getting wet and cold. I just wanted to help. That's why it touched people," James said. "Because it was real, not for show." A small boy ran up to their bench. He was about 5 years old. His mother stood nearby, watching with a smile. "Are you the hug people?" the boy asked. Maria and James laughed. "Yes," Maria said. "I guess we are the hug people." "My mommy says you teach people to be kind," the boy said. "Is that hard to learn?" James thought about this. "No," he said. "Being kind is easy. Sometimes we just forget to do it." The boy nodded like this made perfect sense. "Can I have a guard hug?" Maria and James opened their arms, and the little boy hugged them both. As the boy ran back to his mother, an old man took a seat at the kindness corner. He looked tired and sad. Maria smiled at him. "Would you like to talk?" The man seemed surprised. Then he smiled back. "Yes," he said. "I would like that very much." And so another connection was made. Another moment of kindness happened. Another small light shined in the world. Far away in London, outside Buckingham Palace, a small plaque had been placed near where a guard once stood in the rain. It read, "On this spot, a simple act of kindness reminded the world that humanity has no borders. May all who pass here remember that the smallest gesture can touch the most hearts." And every day, people stopped to read it, and some were changed by it.